welcome to LTV News. I'm Nada Marche and these are today's top stories. New HIV infections and AIDS-relating deaths are declining and advancing drugs may see the end of the disease. India hung Mohammed Ajmal Kasab, the only militant to have survived the 2008 attacks on the financial capital, Mumbai. And the voice of one of the most famous characters, Sesame Street, has resigned. Let's start with some news from the Middle East. A Yemeni military transport plane crashed near Sana'a airport today, killing around 10 people on board. The plane came down in an abandoned produce market in the Hasaba district near the Yemeni capital after experiencing a technical error, the official said. Ambulances raced to the scene where crowds gathered. Witnesses said that the Antov plane was completely burnt out and that thick black smoke surrounded the area. In October last year, a Yemeni military plane crash-landed at an airbase in the south of the country, killing 9 passengers, including 8 Syrian engineers. Local medics and residents said that an Israeli airstrike on 2 cars in the Gaza Strip killed 6 Palestinians yesterday, while 2 children died in an attack off the north of the territory. There was no immediate word on who was travelling when the vehicles or why they were targeted. The Israeli army said it was looking into the incident.
There was no immediate word on who was travelling in the vehicles or why they were targeted. The Israeli army said it was looking into the incident. Israeli police said that more than 150 rockets were fired from Gaza by late afternoon, many of them intercepted by the Israelis' Iron Dome system. 10 people were wounded in Israel. 115 Palestinians have died in a week of fighting, the majority of them civilians, including 27 children. 3 Israelis died last week when a rocket from Gaza struck their house.
Staying in Gaza now, a rocket fired from Gaza hit the city of Rishon LeZion near Tel Aviv yesterday, causing damage but no casualties. Israeli police spokesman said the rocket hit a building in the city, resulting to a damage to an apartment. Medics, fire trucks and ambulances hurried to the scene. Some residents were in panic. Medical officials in Gaza said 126 Palestinians have died. In a week of fighting, the majority of them civilians, including 27 children. Moving on to world news now. A United Nations report said yesterday that eradicating AIDS was in sight owing to a better access to drugs that can both treat and prevent the incurable HIV that causes the disease. Since 1995, AIDS drug treatment known as antiretroviral therapy has saved 14 million life years in poorer countries, including 9 million in sub-Saharan Africa. UN AIDS Executive Director Michael Sidesbeb has more.
We are already achieving the Millennium Development Goal of halting and reversing the AIDS epidemic. New HIV infections and AIDS-related deaths are declining.
Success in fighting the disease in the past decade has allowed for the Foundation to lay for the eventual ends of AIDS by cutting the death toll and helping stabilise the number of people infected with the pandemic. The report said it was due to historic success in bringing HIV programs to scale, combined with the emergence of a new combination of drugs to prevent people from becoming HIV infected and from dying from AIDS. Since 1995, AIDS drug treatment known as antiretroviral therapy has saved 14 million lives in poorer countries, including 9 million in sub-Saharan Africa.
India hung Mohammed Ajmal Kasab, the only militant to have survived the 2008 attacks on the financial capital, Mumbai. In August, India's Supreme Court upheld Kasab's death sentence over the attack on a string of targets in Mumbai that killed 166 people. Kasab was a Pakistani national who said that he belonged to the militant group like Shari-Taiba. Mohammed Ajmal Kasab, the lone surviving gunman of the 2008 Mumbai attacks that killed 166 people, had appealed for mercy from the president in September. Kasab was filmed walking through Mumbai's main train station carrying an AK-47 assault rifle and a knapsack on his back. Nearly 60 people were gunned down in the crowded station. India accused Pakistan-based militants of organising the attack, saying Islamabad is failing to act against those who are behind the raids. Pakistan denies involvement and says it's prosecuting 7 suspected militants for their role. Approximately 1,000 people turned out in the centre of Paris last night to demonstrate their support for Israel as the world waited to see whether talks between Israelis and Palestinians would yield a ceasefire in Gaza.
Waving Israeli and French flags, the supporters gathered at the bottom of Champs-Élysées near the Israeli embassy in the French capital to protest the hundreds of rockets that have been fired by militants from Gaza onto Israel. The Jewish state launched the offensive last week with the declared aim of halting the rocketing of its towns from the Palestinian enclave, ruled by the militant groups that does not recognise Israel's right to exist. France has the world's third largest Jewish population after the United States and Israel. It also has Europe's biggest Muslim population of mainly North African descent.
The Church of England voted against legislation that would have allowed ordination of women bishops, the communication of more than 10 years to decisive debate after the proposal failed to win the backing of lay members.
During a debate before the vote, the incoming Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, urged the General Synod to vote in favour of allowing women bishops. Welby said, "The ministry of women in the last 20 years has contributed enormously to the Church of England, and today we include thankfulness for what has happened. For all of our struggles, and with many setbacks, the Church has gained from it the decision to allow women priests. The ministry of women priests has been powerful in most areas of the Church. The Bishop of Liverpool very powerfully set out the case in favour of what is before us today." Welby said it's time to finish the job and vote for this measure. Women already serve as Anglican bishops in Australia, New Zealand, Canada and most of the United States. But the Church of England, the mother church of the world's 80 million Anglicans, has struggled to reconcile the dispute between reformers and traditionalists on whether to allow them in England.
132 against.
Now for some sports news. Around 500 fans of Galatasaray Soccer Club clashed with police in Istanbul during the arrival of Manchester United for their Champions League match. Fans gathering at the entrance of the arrivals lounge tried to enter the lounge to greet the Manchester United players, but police blocked the entrance of the lounge. Police with riot shields used smoke grenades and pepper spray to disperse the crowd, who had been hitting the terminal windows and attacking police with flares. Due to the security measures, the Manchester United team left the airport from another exit. Arsenal are buzzing after their resounding victory over North London's rival Tottenham Hotspur, but they go into this week's Champions League with home clash and Montpellier, aware that the slip could cost to their last 16 hopes. Arsenal manager Wenger was at the team's training ground and had said confidence just returned just in time for the visit of Montpellier. Striker Olivier Giroud will also be relishing a meeting with his old club after 4 goals in his last 3 games have helped the Frenchman settle following a tricky start in London. Wenger said he believes the striker is now settled in London. Now let's take a look at the worlds of art and culture. The voice of one Sesame Street's most famous characters has resigned. Kevin Clash, the puppeteer for Elmo, had been on a leave of absence after 23-year-old man accused Clash of engaging in a sexual relationship with him when he was 16 years old. In a statement, Sesame Workshop said claims against Clash had become a distraction and that it was sad for the company. New York-based Sesame Workshop had concluded through their own inquiry that claims of underage sexual conduct against Clash were unsustained. Clash had acknowledged a past relationship with his accuser but said the pair were both consenting adults at the time. He termed the allegations false and defamatory. R&B star Rihanna touched down in London this week for the latest leg of her 7/7 tour. The singer's London stopover included a short appearance at Westfield Stratford, where she was given the honour to switch on festive lights in front of hundreds of fans. Rihanna was dressed in a stripy jumpsuit and long blue jacket as she welcomed the 15,000-strong crowd who had turned up to see her. The singer had previously proved a big hit when she turned on the festive lights at Westfield in Shepherd's Bush 2010. She was joined on stage by children from Save the Children charity on stage. Together they counted down the start of the holiday season, which was then celebrated with an explosion of fireworks on stage as she turned on the lights. Rihanna then performed her new single, Diamonds. That's all we have time for today, but before we go, let's take a look at today's top stories. New HIV infections and AIDS-relating deaths are declining, and advancing drugs may see the end of the disease. India hung Mohammed Ajmal Kasab, the only militant to have survived the 2008 attacks on the financial capital of Mumbai. And the voice of one of Sesame Street's most famous characters has resigned. Thank you for watching. For more information, please go to our website at www.levant.tv. Join us tomorrow at the same time, and until then, from all of us here at LTV News, goodbye.